Good morning, everybody. It's me, Teri Hunter. Today is May 21st, 2023, and I'm here with your weekly horoscope. Welcome to my YouTube channel. These videos that I'm making, or today, this live is based on whole sign Western astrology. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the upcoming week's transits. Then I'm going to do a reading, both tarot and angel cards for each sign. I'll be starting with Gemini. Good morning, small wildflowers. Good morning, Katarina. Yeah, I said that right. Okay. Whole sign Western astrology. Sorry, I distract myself, everybody. And it's really cloudy, and I'm really thrown off this week. I got to tell you, it's been like winter. It is May, and it's been winter. Good morning, Bethany. Good morning, Stephen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the aspects coming up. And while, we talk about the week ahead, these particular aspects that we're going through right now with the fixed grand square and Saturn having its sort of side-eye conversation with Venus, there's a lot going on. So I'm going to talk about that. And then, as I said, we're going to do readings. We will start with the sign of Gemini, as it is Gemini's birthday. Happy birthday, Gemini. The sun entered today. And then we will traverse the Zodiac, ending with Taurus. So let's talk about, I have to make a couple announcements. I'm actually going to have a life. Next weekend, I'm going to have a friend from high school come visit, and I am going to take next Sunday off. So I will do the video. I know we've taken a couple Sundays off this month, but we need the break. So I wanted to mention that. So look for the video. And then what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, I want to say this. Bethany Gates, she's in the chat right now, had the loss of her mom this week unexpectedly. And I would like to ask everybody to say prayers for her and her mom, for her mom's transition, and for Bethany and her family to go through this time with ease and renewed faith. I'd like to put it that way, because it is a very, very tense time right now. So this week, today, the sun went into Gemini, as I said, and now we have Mars at 0 degrees, making its opposition to Pluto retrograde. I've been thinking a lot about what's coming up, because Venus is going to do the same thing in no short order. And the United States itself is going through a huge transition. And so when I was talking to Spirit this morning, I felt like Spirit was really encouraging us all, to think about where we're putting our focus and attention, and where we have influence and where we don't. Because if some of us are focusing in on like world events that we have we can't do anything about, I think it's important that we pull back off that, because if it's inflammatory, it's not going to help us really experience these transitions to their highest possible frequency. Okay. Because I really think that there's a lot of good things that are going to be revealed. Spirit said chaos is the precursor to balance. That was what I heard very much in my meditation this morning. And I myself have noticed since Jupiter went into Taurus, I've been very focused in on how much faith I have in myself to carve out the future that I want, because Taurus rules our family history. Taurus also rules our food. And unbeknownst, I didn't think about it, but I started a farm to fresh organic fruit and vegetable box. And I'm so excited I did it. It came the other day, and already fueling my body is feeling so much better. I was going through rather a feeding phase where I just wanted to eat comfort foods with cheese and things that my body doesn't respond well to. So I think that's super important, because I think a lot of what's going on here with these squares are not about Mars just, or these squares, this huge square, which is basically Mars is in an opposition to Pluto. They are both squaring the nodes, and then Jupiter's involved, being conjunct to the North Node. So this is really kind of what I believe this fixed grand cross square, because it's all those things, is making us aware of the box. It's making us aware of the things that we have walked through on some sort of unconscious level, as if, this is just how it is. I remember my dad used to say that all the time. This is just how it is. And I thought to myself, it isn't just how it is. It's how people choose for it to be. So as we see, Venus is at 22 degrees starting to join later in this week. Venus is going to start to join the conversation. So we're going to see Mars and Venus, Mars being, am I willing to go and be a pioneer in my own life? Am I willing? Mars is the warrior, okay? So I want to say this because I had to ask myself sometimes if I was willing to be the villain in someone else's story so I could be the hero in my own. Because the things that made me happy, the things that make me feel fulfilled in this life, I have a lot of resistance from those that have been close to me. And I had to decide if I would be absorbed by their viewpoints, their belief system, Jupiter and Taurus, or would I allow myself my own individuality? And in doing so, I had to say, what prices am I willing to pay for my own freedom, for my own freedom of expression, my own freedom of appetites, my own freedom of joy? And, I feel like this grand fixed square and cross is sort of like, I crossing my heart, and this box is asking me, am I being authentic to that heart? If there's times when I also want to say this because Venus right now is making an in conjunction to Saturn, which is a blind spot. It's like something you can't quite see, and it's very, I think it has an influence. Every blind spot has an influence because you operate on it without any consciousness. So as this is happening, I'm thinking to myself, if I had to go back, like when I'm by myself, I'm by myself on a lot of holidays. I'm always by myself on my birthday. I mean, it could be a big pity party if I wanted it to be. But when I really reflect on my choices, would I make them differently? Would I really be happy and thrive in what I know? Or am I willing to stand a little bit alone and open a space for the universe to bring in something that's much more aligned? And I think that's what this divine chaos and divine disruption is all about. I think we're all being asked to look at how are we not only perceiving the events around us, how are we filtering those events that foster our future? And I think there will be this part of us, inside of us, the divineness within us that will click open and say, I have so much power within me that I have not tapped into. I've not turned it on. And this is where I think this whole week, as Venus is also making a square to Chiron in Aries, the individual. We just watched Jupiter go through Aries and ask us to really redefine our faith in ourselves, to expand our sense of self, to be a pioneer for our own. I want to offer it this way. I really don't believe we die. And so we recycle this planet because I believe we are here to truly create. And there's so much density when we get here because the collective consciousness is like when we as humans try to go out into the ocean and act like we have any control out there. We don't. All we can do is have the wherewithal to float on our back when things get choppy. So I feel like this is this grand awakening that Uranus has been offering us as it's traversing through Taurus. I want to offer this too because we are having a full moon in Sagittarius coming up, and I watched a very fascinating video on Pam Gregory's website. It was by Julia Balaz, and she was talking about the shapely attractor. And she went through some points that are specifically in Libra, Sagittarius, and Scorpio.
And people that have planets at the degrees of these various points, the galactic center, the super galactic center, the great attractor, and the Shapley attractor, have sort of a broader, more in touch view of their own soul, their own divine mission. And I think that as you look at these things in your chart and you start to dissect your own intentions for this lifetime through your natal chart, as we walk through some very choppy times, because the unconscious people walking through these squares and these oppositions are going to act out. And those of us that are more conscious can literally kick in the divine laws of attraction, of allowing of ebb and flow. And we will in many ways walk through this as if we are walking with angels beside us, protecting and guiding us into our greatest truth, Because I think if we're really willing to ask ourselves questions like, what prices am I willing to pay for that truth? What prices am I willing to pay for my own happiness? I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to believe in myself. I'm willing to be aware of my vibration before I start working hard. Am I working hard based on fear? Oh, it won't happen. Or am I excited? Am I joyful? And if I identify fear, how much am I willing to pull back and not take human action, but to really take the time to maybe take a nap, go for a walk, take the pressure off, so that as you go back into the endeavor, you feel the excitement, and that excitement will be so powerful that it will build upon it. And then you'll start to realize and start to become more aware of the ebb and flow of chaos being the precursor to balance. So there is a sense of chaos and divine disruption that is necessary in order for us to feel the empowerment of our own co-creation, the exhilaration of that, and to trust ourselves and the universe, because we're working in tandem. And we start to see how the players within this human experience, either, oftentimes we think of friend or foe, but oftentimes that foe is a catalyst, a chaos that propels us. So I really want to I want you to think about that as we walk through this week. We're going to have a Sagittarius full moon on the great attractor at 14 degrees Sagittarius. So I really want to recommend, Pam Gregory has a huge following. So many of you may have already been aware of that video, but I've watched it twice already. And I'm going to incorporate it in my personal readings that I do now, my astrology readings, because I thought it was really important and fascinating. So now I'm going to go into our readings. We're going to start with Gemini and work our way around the zodiac. Again, these videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. I, as an intuitive astrologer, start with my rising sign, and then I go to my moon. My moon is so important because I'm an emotional creature, as all of you are. And we base our manifestations and our co-creations on emotions. You can think your way through something, but that's where we go back to identifying the vibration, because thinking can often be fear-based, and feeling and being able to identify that joy, you're aligned. You're aligned to spirit, you're aligned to your greater intention, and you're aligned to representing and being like a lighthouse for others when you stand in joyous co-creation. So let's go. Oh, you know what I haven't done real quick? I don't know why when Margie said, when Small Waffler said good morning to Marge, I thought, Small, how is Wee Wildflowers doing? How's your little granddaughter? I like to call her Wee Wildflowers. I think that's such a cute name for her. Although she's got a little garden of wee wildflowers. She has 3 little granddaughters. So she's got lots of little flowers. All right, I'll keep an eye out. I'll start with our Geminis. Our tarot card is, what a way to start your birthday month, with the Empress, Venus herself. This is a beautiful energy. All the major arcana cards have more influence and are a stronger influence than the minor arcana. Venus is very receptive. We know that Venus is in the house this week, meaning she's going to start to get into that grand fixed square. And we're really going to look at how do we represent ourselves. Leo is the sign of leadership. Leo is the sign of our self-worth. I'm not our self-worth, our creation, our self-expression, our enjoyment, our pleasure, romance, the conception of children. How do we mother children? And we're coming out of the Cancer energy. So I think this is very important. I also want to offer this because I think for my Geminis, it's important to ask yourself, how relaxed are you about your manifestation? How much are you owning and giving viability to what you want to experience versus how much are you in your thinking process? So let's go. Happy birthday, Jules. Oh, happy birthday. Yay. I'm not going to sing. That's going to be my birthday gift to you. All right, here we go. Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And just off the top of my head, I believe that Capricorn is Gemini's 8th house. And as Pluto has gone through that very transformational house, I think it's really giving you an opportunity to, the 8th house by nature is a house of our deepest psychological beliefs and where people can inadvertently assert power and control over us through fear. So there's been a transformation of that for our Geminis, which could be really a way of using that twin energy to assess versus to ping pong back and forth. Because as you recognize that the receptivity that is being offered to you, as I focus my thoughts on what I want to have happen, it starts to come into play. All right, first angel is Layla. My hands are hurting this week. Sorry. The second is Astera. The third is Desiree. And the final is Serena. Oh, money. Okay. Now, this could very much be about money. I say Venus, she's the Empress, but I think there's that big Venus symbol she's sitting on. Okay. I'm so honored you'd spend your birthday with us, Jules. How fun. All right. Gemini, joining Layla is the dog. Joining Astera is the king. Joining Desiree is the burden card. And joining Serena is the raven. All right. I want to offer this because this very much feels as if this is an opportunity for you to focus, Gemini, as you start your solar return, as you make your, almost it's like your New Year's resolutions. I think that what would best serve you would be to realize that the Empress is a 3. That's the number of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. It's also sort of this idea of your own personal co-creation, that you're part of a triad of human manifestation. So now Spirit just wants you to focus in on what you love. Talk to Spirit about it, think about it, muse on about it. Don't think about how you're going to get there. I got to tell you, I have the weirdest feeling lately. This last week, a lot of weird things happened. Like all of a sudden, I watched My Lottery Dream Home about a week ago. And I don't even like that show, really, to be honest with you. It kind of bugs me. But it just kind of came on the TV and I kind of rolled into this like 3 or 4 episodes. And I started thinking, geez, they can make a TV show about this. Look at all these people who've won the lottery. Why can't I win the lottery? So I've been buying scratchers and I've kind of like put in like, I think $40 over a few days. And then it started to like, I'd win a couple. So it's sort of like paying back into the kitty. And I had this really weird feeling that I might win the lottery. And I've never felt that before. I don't have any number in mind, but I'm playing with the laws of the universe. I'm playing with the idea that I was watching Ancient Aliens last night. You guys know I love this. Declassified. And they had this whole segment on how the mind can actually kick in algorithms because they're electricity. And you always think the algorithm is smarter than you are, right? Or the algorithm is, you're subject to the algorithm. And I thought, what if there was this, focus. Because I know I kind of went off a little bit, but I think Gemini, this is a real opportunity to focus in on what you love without sort of this how, because Astera is saying reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And the king here feels as if it is just and fair for you to start to receive the things that you want. And now this is where this little bit of mastery comes in, because if we think about it, Mars spent 7 months in your first house, pretty much tearing it up, asking what's important to you. What do you really want? Dig deep. It's time to be brave, because otherwise Mars is a hellion. I mean, it can be, because the angels are saying now is not a time of action. Now is a time to really go back and define what you love, not what you think you can love, not what you think you can get, not what you can see with your eyes or read with your eyes, of course. Not what you can think with. Gemini, speak, read, teach, none of those senses. This is the senses you can't see, because here is Serena. Serena not only offering you a moment of serenity, but also the angel of abundance, material abundance. And here's the Raven saying that it's a timing event. So if you're in co-creation with God and the universe, as the 3 would indicate, then this is not, you've done your action, Gemini. You've done what you need to do. So now it's just like you're waiting to receive. I'm ready to be ready to be ready. If you watch Abraham, you hear the quotes. I'm ready to be ready to be ready. So I think this is very exciting. I think this is a new year where a lot of things could potentially be cleared out in the form of divine disruption. And if we look deeper and deeper into that disruption, is it not actually clearing the debris out? Sometimes people work at jobs and it pays their bills, but they're totally miserable. And then layoffs come and they get scared of getting laid off. And the truth of the matter is they don't like that job anyway. So, the universe can sometimes displace us, and that can be very motivating. It's just an example. It doesn't have to happen. I think there's plenty of bounty coming for you, Gemini. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers. For those of you that just came into the room, I start with the birthday month, and then I go around the zodiac, because I got really tired of, I'm a Libra and I need fairness. And I started with Aries first, and then I went and did it backwards for a while. And then I thought, oh, that's not fair either. So that's how we ended up starting with the birthday month, just so y'all know. Okay. So let's go on. What's happening with Cancer is Mars has been traversing your first house, and now Venus is. We have the Knight of Wands. This to me felt almost as if I felt like run towards the fun, run towards your passion. The Wands by nature are a fire sign. They represent Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Here we're talking about Mars being in your house. Mars rules Aries, which is a fire sign. And I want to offer it this way too for my Cancers, because while Pluto's been in Capricorn, it's been making a long-term opposition to your first house. And that can be very, revealing in the most beautifully, disruptively divine way. And I feel like now is a time to, this doesn't feel like, yes, it's an action card, but I don't feel like I've manifested anything yet. It's more like I'm running towards the party. I'm running towards my passion. There's a sense of joy and excitement. And I also want to say there's a sense of ease when we look at the writer, because he doesn't seem to be holding on too tight. He's only got one hand and not even reins. He's holding on to the mane. Oh no, he has reins. He has reins. Never mind. He's in control. All right. Let's see for our Cancers what's up for this week. Because again, this grand, and I'm just going to say it both ways, because I'm pretty sure like it's a grand fixed cross and it's a grand fixed square, and I can't, figure out how I want to refer to it. But whatever it is, it's a box with an epicenter. And I think it's time to stand in that epicenter and really review how we want that to look. I've felt, as Pluto's been squaring so many of my personal planets for such a long time, and, Pluto's going to go retrograde back into Capricorn. It's going to go all the way to 27 degrees this year, which is an exact square to my Mars. And I have not felt vulnerable to that dynamic. I have felt like the more you guys know when I talk about a square, I talk about a tense conversation between an old version of myself, an old way of thinking, an old way of being, and then the evolved version, the one I want to be, the one I'm stretching for, the one I've been working on. And because things happen outside of me, I haven't rooted this side, and I can default to that side. And the awareness of the choice can create tension. So for my Cancers, I feel as if, as Venus enters your first house, Mars is just exiting it. It's time to really get deep about how you feel about yourself. It can be about love, but love is only has as much quality as we get to feel our authenticity within the dynamic. There's nothing more I appreciate than when I see two people who can really be themselves and feel that acceptance of another person. And I remember being a kid and thinking that was given freely. And it wasn't until I was adult that I realized that wasn't true, So anyway, here we go. Cancers, let's see what the Knight of Wands is focusing in on. Anybody in the chat know what the symbolism for a salamander is? Because I know it, but I know it somewhere, but I don't really remember. I haven't thought about it in a while. And the salamanders on his tunic are calling to me right now for some reason. Okay, Archangel Michael for our Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Then we have Grace and Antoinette. Then we have Shanti. And finally, my thumbs, Francesca. Okay. Archangel Michael's being joined by the cat. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the movement card. Shanti's being joined by the love card. And Francesca's being joined by the risk card. So when I started talking about Cancer and the Knight of Wands, I said that they're fire resistant salamanders. Really? I didn't know that. That's cool. I want to say this. Immortality, rebirth, passion, the ability to withstand flames. Oh, that's so fun. Thank you, Sunshine, Anya. This is exactly what we get for our Cancers. This makes sense to me because this is a process right now. This does not feel as if he is, manifested something. They're on the way. And if we know the tarot, the wands always indicate the passion of something, the infusion of an idea, the creativity of it. It isn't until we get to the pentacles that we see it actually manifested. So here, Archangel Michael is asking you for courage. And I think the cat is not about independence here. And I'm not even thinking it's about healthy boundaries. I'm thinking about 9 lives. Regenerative, perfect. The Phoenix rising. What does Pluto represent as it's been opposing your sign? It's a sense of rebirthing yourself. And one of the things about Cancer is that it's such a nurturing energy. It's so much about other people that you can get lost in the mix, and especially for those that have come to depend on you. And so it's so important for you to value yourself, to honor yourself. So here we have Grace and Antoinette offering compassion as there is movement. And what are we seeing here? Cancer galloping towards something that's important to them, something that they want, because Shanti is offering you a smoother road ahead. And part of this love card is not the love of others, it's the love of self here. It's the love of the independent Cancer person who's willing to follow their dreams. And now I want to go back and say, in this tense, grand, fixed square, what price are you willing to pay to feel how you want to feel? Are you giving that to yourself? It's kind of like, can we really realistically, knowing how fragile the human experience is and how so many of us don't feel balanced. I don't know anybody who feels balanced, frankly. And so how do we look for someone else to actually fill that hole? It's so important for us to be willing to wobble on that road. And I believe that as you make those movements and you implement compassion for yourself, you will feel more love in and outside of yourself, because Francesca is asking you to really pay attention to your focus and to risk paying attention to it. Those that nurture, they sometimes get in such a loop of nurturing, they don't know how to stop, and they don't know how to self-nurture. I remember at one point I was working 7 days a week for, I think it was almost 6 months. And when that stopped, I didn't know what to do with myself. I had like a weird, almost post-traumatic stress syndrome, because I didn't have any money saved either after working that hard. But anyway, so I feel like there's a real call to your own passions for my Cancers. Okay. And as Venus moves into that house, she represents art and beauty. So it may be being brave enough, as Mars has been going through that first house, to allow for that transformation, which is feeling tense because your access with Capricorn and Aquarius, you're still feeling that Pluto energy. There's a orb there. Okay. My words. This foggy weather makes me feel foggy brained. Okay. For our Leos, we have Pluto herself. This is the Judgment card. Now, oftentimes the human goes immediately to the dark side, the coffins, blah, blah, blah. But if you look, the beauty of this is the golden hair. The hair is not golden because of a race. It's golden for the illumination, coming from the cold and the dark to see the light. I very much believe that what we've been doing over the last few decades is becoming, through technology, aware of the truth of who we are. We are energetic beings. There's so much more to us than what we see when we see each other. And as Pluto moves into Aquarius, this will become scientifically proven. And I believe that on certain, if you look for it, I believe there's already evidence. As I watch more of the History Channel and I watch more, of the things I didn't pay attention to when I was younger, I realize there's so much information that supports these hits that I get from spirit, that the way we're evolving, that we're not really ascending. We're just ascending in the sense of having a broader view of how things work, which then gives us choices, and we become more aware that our focus, our thoughts, are things, and those things start to create a momentum that manifests in the physical. That's what I think this whole Pluto moving into Aquarius, what is happening for Leo. One of the things about the Leo energy is that you represent the heart and courage and leadership. And you may be feeling a sense of not that. And in doing so, it's time to kind of dust off who is your audience. Because that's when you think about Leo, that's what we think about: the performer, the clown, the child, it's the fun and the enjoyment. And who has fun by themselves all the time? Nobody. It's a group effort. You need an audience to applaud your creativity. So if you are Leo, playing to things that you love, being authentic with you, and we are seeing audiences more and more respond to people who are just being themselves, normal humans, that are out on TikTok versus watching fictionalized characters living an impossible dream life that we'll never have. So I think this is about Leo really coming to terms with what you want for yourself, and are you willing to allow for that rebirth? Let's see. Okay. We have Archangel Uriel. We have Francesca. We have Astera. And we have Oak. Now, we know that Mars has been going through. Mars just entered Leo today. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So as Mars enters Leo, there is the possibility that you could feel Mars's lower vibrations of frustration and anger. Saturn in Pisces could inadvertently be bringing up old stories for you. Stories that you'd rather forget about, but they're somehow affecting the choices you're making today. Pisces is your 8th house. Okay, Leo. Merlin is being joined by Archangel Uriel. Francesca is being joined by the Burden card. Astera is being joined by the Deer. And the Spider is joining Opal. I really think this week, a lot of what's going on for Leo rising is reconnecting with your relationship with your higher power. And, some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it source energy. I think all those terms are applicable. I absolutely believe in the divinity and that there is a loving energy out there. So I really think that part of this judgment card is sort of understanding that frustration can be that chaos that brings in balance, because there's Merlin. Okay. And Merlin brings in not just balance, but justice. And what is justice? It's really not a system somewhere in a governmental agency. It is divine law. And here we have alchemy joining it. So there is a very good possibility that Leo rising can use their frustration and their anger to create bounty in some way. We see comedians do that, where they use their sad stories and they put that spin on it, and we end up laughing at those bad dates that the girls have been on, or those oppressive relationships that some people talk about. So I think there's a possibility of transformation with that. And now it's being tasked as Mars enters your first house, and then Venus is going to enter it for you to be authentic about what's really true to your heart and have the courage to focus on it. Because Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And there's the Burden card. And we see right here that Archangel Uriel is saying that you're standing on frustration. When I've been frustrated, I do a couple of things. First of all, I say to Spirit, I'm frustrated, and sometimes I cuss because that's kind of natural to me. And I don't really think my guides don't love me because of my verbiage. I think they know I'm a human right now. So I ask them to help me get over my frustration, help me get over my anger, or help me to move my focus. Pull me somewhere. And then I was inspired a few weeks ago to just take a walk. And I decided to walk down to Ace Hardware. I needed like a mason jar or something. And in that walk, I was inspired to try to look for beautiful things. I didn't do that well in the beginning. I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden, after I'd done my chore and I was on my way back, as I was waiting to walk up the highway, I saw dolphins in the ocean. And I decided to walk along the ocean cliff instead of the highway. And that felt like Spirit had then was able to inspire me, because that's what I think is going on for Leo, because it's time to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires and not to compromise. And here is really truly about being gentle and diplomatic with yourself, beating yourself up or being impatient or saying, when this happens, I'll do this. This is a little bit of the challenge of the fixed signs. And Leo is the first fixed sign that we are meeting today, because actually Taurus is a fixed sign. But I want to offer it this way, because that same energy, that same determination focused on what you do want is very powerful for co-creation. Because here, Opal talks about having a relationship with God, your children having a relationship with God. Leo rules children. I also believe this is your inner child, and I do believe this is a relationship. If you have been trying to birth children or bring children in or get pregnant, and you're at that stage in your life and something has not happened yet, think about the transits that we've been going through. Think about the soul. Imagine that if you were incarnating, maybe you'd want a few more trines in your chart than squares, or fixed grand squares that would present challenges, and allow for a renewed faith. But I also think this is about you as an individual, and allowing yourself to think that if anything is crumbling away. It's because something more sustainable is going to be built. Okay, on to our Virgos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This gray May is freaking ridiculous. It's like winter. It's so dewy outside. I thought, my hair is going to grow throughout the whole broadcast. And I'm going to know if I'm messing with it. I apologize, but it's bugging me right now. Okay, Virgo. We have the Five of Cups. Not an easy energy. It's a card of sorrow. A lot of times people call it the divorce card. But the thing about it is this divorce card, the character is not able to see what is actually sustainable here. There is an illumination being offered, but the person's just focused in fact, one of these cups doesn't even have anything that came out of it. It's just, it doesn't even indicate. One has the green and one has the red, but one has nothing. So there's potential that you could be looking at something that you are mourning or feeling loss about. We'll see. And there's actually something better coming. When our cups are tumbled over, it gives us an opportunity to refill them, and we don't have to fill them with what was there before. So let's see. I suddenly got this idea that if indeed Virgos, because Saturn would be opposing your house, and if you're feeling a little bit, my thumbs have been really bothering me lately. My grandmother had arthritis. I'm having a little bit of this going on, and that's another thing that spawned me into paying attention to, am I fueling my body? Am I feeding my body? I discovered this Australian woman over the last couple of months, Barbara O'Neill, really like her. So started listening to her. Been using some of her recipes for salves. So just want to mention that, because if for some reason this Five of Cups is representing the loss of we'll look and see. Take care of your health, regardless. Yes, Bethany. Again, for those of you that weren't in the room, our tribe member, Bethany, her mother was crossed over this week. She was inadvertently in an accident, not to any fault of her own. And so Bethany is going through a very, very raw loss right now. So if we could send prayers for her, send her love and her family love. Okay, Virgo, our first angel is Vanessa, the angel of faith or fear. The next is Shanti, offering peace and tranquility down the line. Layla is our connection with spirit. And the final is Adriana. Vanessa is being joined by the protection card, Virgo. Shanti is being joined by the Grail Knight. Layla's being joined by the Stag. And Adriana is being joined by the Death card. Holy moly. Bethany, that's just so, we talked yesterday, and I said something to you at the end about being open to be able to create on a new level now. And I think this is coming through for you a little bit here. All right. Vanessa's talking about faith or fear, and there's a sense of protection. And I believe that even if Virgo is experiencing a challenge right now, there is a divine disruption in order. Something is happening on the outside of yourself. That's what an opposition Saturn is. That Saturn bringing in old historic dynamics in your life, a feeling of oppressedness, a feeling of isolation. And at the same time, I think this is an opportunity for you to assess what is super important to you and would you have made different choices? Would the outcome be different? I feel like there's something about having faith in yourself and knowing that this protection really comes to for your mind. Here's the 38 that reduces down to an 11, because I think for my Virgos, this seeking the sacred right now is not about romance, but who you are as an individual, the deeper layers of your own authenticity. And that's where the road of peace is formed for you. Allowing yourself to express yourself no longer in a place of process, analyzation, and duty to others. You know, the sixth house by nature is the house of enslavement, the house of service to others. And the human has morphed that into something that is literally not what it was meant to be. It was never about me being your slave or me, you know, getting you your cup of tea. It was more about me representing balance and health through my mind, the laws of attraction, the being aware of my mind, and being of service, because I represent the possibilities of the process of the awareness of I don't think we'll ever control our minds, but I do think that they're more powerful than we know. And as we work them and we practice like a going to the gym, we become more aware of our manifestations. Because I think that this stag right now is about taking leadership, but it's leadership of a new version of your life. It's where you go from here. Now that this has been experienced, where does the new chapter begin? And there is already opportunity here through these two cups to fill something. And here, Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers as this death has taken place, this transformation, this loss of some kind. There is a release. There is a new opening for you. And as I personally do not believe in death, I believe that our loved ones are on the other side. And when we have challenging relationships with them on this side of the fence, sometimes when they cross over, it is a divine gift that's been given to us so that we can truly be our authentic selves and speak our authentic truth, Virgo, Mercury. Okay. Wow. Let's go on to our Libras. Welcome everybody into the room. For those of you that just coming in, I have a friend coming into town next week I haven't seen in 10 years plus. And so I'm going to take Sunday off to spend time with my friend next weekend, the Memorial Day. So just wanted to let you know that. And let's go on to our Libras. Oh, this is nice news for this Libra sun. Here's the beginning of something coming into the physical, and I really hope it's actually money. Money, money, money. We like money. Let's see. I have felt more abundant lately. Oh, and I told you that earlier, I have this weird feeling like I'm going to win the lottery. I don't know why. I have no idea what the money amount is. I'm not like out there thinking any of that. I just feel like every time I see that guy, David, who is the realtor or whatever he is, the designer on that My Lottery Dream Home, I'm like, not that I'm going to be on the show because I don't want to be on the show, but I just keep thinking I'm going to win some money. And then this was interesting. When I was in the market, when I bought my second ticket, the checker told me that someone won $200. Then when I was cashing in like a $10 win, this guy came in and he won $500 on a scratcher. So Libra, maybe there's some money coming. Something's coming into the material. Yay, about time. We've had that square Pluto, late born. Any planets you have in Libra and late degrees, you've been feeling Pluto transforming you. Oop. All right, Libra, here we go. Our first angel is Chantal, the angel of romance. Then we have Aurora. Then we have Bethany. And then we have Opal. Chantal is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Aurora's being joined by the Wasp. Bethany is being joined by Merlin. And Opal is being joined by the Movement card. Okay, I want to offer this to my Libras because it's interesting to me because when I saw Chantal, and she is the angel of romance and reignited passion, but then we have the fire fairy. And I felt as if this is very much you feeling some sort of new inspiration. I always think of this little road as like this secret garden. You know, there's a sense of my dreams, starting to see the flowers popping up in the garden, feeling the hand of God starting to have my dreams come true. And I feel as if for my Libras, because, you know, as a first house Libra rising, you're predisposed to partnership, to cooperation, to fostering balance, to fostering harmony, and oftentimes inadvertently giving up your own sense of harmony because others may feel more dominant. And here in the Angel's Advice, we have Aurora saying, you're flying high right now, don't descend. And I feel like this, because you'll inspire people, and this is what you fear, not what may be actually happening. Although with the square to Pluto, it's possible. This Wasp is a very challenging energy. It is, you know, it is about anger. It is about jealousy. And at the same time, I feel as if this combination is asking you to turn away from any outside influences that you perceive are resistant to you or thwarting your energies. Because Bethany this is about self-care. And then Bethany is with Merlin, offering balance, justice, and alchemy. And to me, this is actually going back to your own personal creativity. While we always associate Libra with partnership, I think it really kind of dumbs down the house, because Libra is so creative. Libra is, you know, Venus rules the voice, it rules beauty. There's so many facets and branches within the creative body, from art to dance. And we tend as humans to kind of compartmentalize these things, and they really actually are integrative. So I feel like this could potentially be your own personal creativity and birthing that into the world. And you may feel like it's somehow, you know, going to affect your relationships around you, because you may not be as available to be who you've been for those people, or whatever the definition is. But I want to offer it this way, because your joy and excitement about allowing this movement or allowing this creativity will actually bring more balance into your life. It's almost as if initially people may be resistant to what you're doing because it's taking time away from something, or whatever your sense of obligation is. Because at the same time, I feel as if your happiness and how your attitude in life and your sense of accomplishment, or, ooh, you know, I got orders, or, ooh, I had the greatest week last week or last couple of weeks, because I had a combination of astrology charts ordered. I had time to do my videos, and I had time for my personal one-on-ones. And I felt like, oh, this is the kind of rhythm I want. And I felt a sense of joy with that. Now Jupiter's moved into my second house. It's just been on my ascendant. And while I've been eating like a pig, I for the first time, I'm a little plump for me as I'm aging. But anyway, I also, because Jupiter expands, I feel a sense of faith. So I want to offer that for my Libras as well. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios. So much going on. And again, I want to, as I start this video or this reading, I want to mention that this video on Pam Gregory's YouTube channel with Julia Balzar, Balaz. She talks about this cluster, and it's called the Shapley cluster or the Shapley cluster. And it's so informational and very powerful for the Libra energy, the Scorpio energy, and the Sagittarius energy. And any personal planets that you have in those areas, even generational planets will be affected, but personal planets will be super powerful. Check out that video. Well worth your time. Okay. Really, really, especially now, you know, with Pluto and Mars being the ruler of Scorpio, making so many what appears to be harsh dynamics. And at the same time, oh my goodness, you should check that out, Dustin. Absolutely. You will be like, I should say your whole name, Dustin Brad Love Frequency. I assume that's frequency, but because that's so transformational. I really believe when you have a lot of scorpionic energy, you are here to transform. I have Neptune and Mercury in Scorpio, and I have, I think, Juno or my power of fortune, I can't remember. But what I noticed in my own personal chart is that I was born with Pluto kind of at the bottom of my chart, and it has made a conjunction to every single one of my personal planets. Now it's at the place of squaring them. And at first that freaked me out. And I'll be really glad if I was younger and I knew that, I might have like checked out. I got to tell you, because it wasn't easy. But now I get Pluto. And if I don't fight with Pluto and I don't pretend and I don't, hide, and I'm authentic in, okay, if I really want to be happy, that person's going to have to hate me. If I'm really going to have healthy boundaries and not feel drained because all that person on the other side does is talk about themselves and want things for themselves, want my advice, and they don't want to pay for it, and I'm at this point where I'm not doing that anymore, So I got to say that this is why Pluto feels so hard. So, all right, my lovely, lovely Scorpios. Look at this. The World. This is a fabulous card. This is a reward card. So Pluto transformed. Pluto, when you have experienced the challenging dynamics, the harsh abuse and criminal behavior and scariness, you completely transform. And this is where you become the Jedi. This is where you become the sacred knight. This is Sir Lancelot, because you've learned about all the elements. Scorpio here, the eagle, how human, the Gemini, the air energy, the Taurus energy, and here the leadership energy. Taurus over our history. Like this is, and we've been on this axis this whole year. So Scorpio have been on this axis. And even though the South Node has been, in the southern position, I believe it's given you an opportunity to be egoless, to rise above. So there's reward happening. Let's look and see where. Because for Dustin, it would be on his ascendant. So who he is gets an opportunity to completely be displayed in an authentic way that will bring bounty. This is what I also love about Scorpio. I believe that when you're in that energy transformed, people don't necessarily respond to the brooding and intensity in the same way. They understand it better and they see the leadership in it, which is why it rules billionaires. Now on the dark side, it rules mobsters and secretive people doing shady shit, pardon my language. And that is all going to bubble up pretty soon. Wow, wow. This woman I was talking about on Pam's channel, Julia Balaz, one of the points of is the great attractor at 14 degrees Sagittarius. Well, we're about to have a full moon in Sagittarius, and I believe, if I remember correctly, it's at 13 degrees. So there's stuff going on in the outer world that's going to bubble up and start to bring in balance. And the other thing I want to say is that I watch a lot of the History Channel and the men that built America, the food that built America. All this is very Scorpionic because it's about power and control and how a few people influence generations, not just the generation they're in, because they transform something into their agenda and then they market it out into the public and present a certain picture of it, right? We don't know how true that picture is. Because when there's money involved, people fix the picture to their own liking. So let's see, Scorpio, what's going on here. Okay. Our first angel is Rochelle. Follow your heart and wealth will come. And there we've got the world here. Oh my goodness, this is fun. Astera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Athena is telling you to lovingly assert yourself. Pluto transformed. And Vanessa is asking you, are you going to have faith? Move on faith. Rochelle is bringing up the Grail Knight, joining. Rochelle is being joined by the Grail Knight. Astera is being joined by the Perception card. Athena is being joined by the Novice. And Vanessa is being joined by the Spider. I really think that my Scorpios have, with Mars as your co-ruling planet going into Leo, the sign of not just self-expression, but it's like enjoyment in self-expression. because Aquarius rules self-expression as well, but it's like on a humanitarian level. This is about the individual. I believe that more and more humans are going to be inspired by people who are brave enough to be themselves and then put themselves out on these various platforms. I watched this woman on TikTok called Mama Tot, and this woman is just the most, like, she's like Aunt B from the old Andy Griffith show. She's not old. She's only 41 and she's beautiful, but she's so warm and loving and so inclusive, you know? And I feel like she's only been on TikTok for 3 years and she's amassed 11 million followers in 3 years. It's her authenticity. I tell you these things for a reason, because Scorpio, as you define and live out this more sacred version of yourself, as the South Node has traversed your house, the house of who you are, Scorpio rising, and you've become more aware of the truth of your heart. You've gotten into the nooks and the crannies. Reward is being offered to you. And yes, it will still require a sense of vulnerability. That's why we see this woman naked, because she is willing to be her authentic self and trusts in that in some way, that it will find its natural place. Because here, Aster is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And here's the perception card. Now we know that Scorpio is part of this grand fixed cross square, however you want to put it, because it's both things. And yet, to me, it kind of, the South Node sits a little bit alone, because it's there asking me, am I willing to be egoless? Am I willing to be the bad guy in your story in order to be the hero in my story? I'm willing to look at maybe even, am I feeling eroded by life's events, or am I actually shedding a skin that no longer serves me? Deeper questions, because Scorpio, you're being offered a new beginning to practice new skills, to practice the deep, you're not just psychological, you're so intuitive, you're so fabulous in so many ways. And that's why you're kind of scary, because you can use all those fabulous powers for evil. But when you don't, you're like the greatest shaman. I mean, it's so amazing. So now it's about having faith in yourself and having faith in the network that you're creating. And I want to offer this because the spider, to me, it says creative projects, but it's also about building this very strong structure. A spider web is not easily taken down. It looks frail, but yet it can withstand a storm. And I think that's what this is all about for my Scorpios, is really bowing down to the deep parts of who you are and offering yourself the privilege of being that. So that's where I'm going. And Mars is also transiting Leo. So this is like your co-rulers in that house of self-expression. So I'm excited. Because I really don't think all of this is yes, it's tight and it's a little uncomfortable, but it's time that we allow for the wisdom of polarity. It's time for us to stop looking as balance as one continuous line, because that's boredom, not balance. Okay, let's go on to Sagittarius. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card is, I love this. This is the Two of Wands. This is where, if you look at behind him, he has a certain amount of his creative passions, his fiery energy. It's been created. It's locked into that cement wall. And yet the stick in his right hand is the new passions that he has. And he's looking at his world and he's saying, you know what? I have this that I have created, and now I'm going to stretch myself. I'm going to enjoy broadening my world. So let's see in what area that's going to be for our Sagittarius. Again, we have a full moon. So this is, my mind is always a flutter. And as I was getting ready this morning, I was thinking about how we always have, a full moon in Gemini that's Sagittarian, and we always have a full moon in Gemini and Sagittarius. So what's being illuminated? We always have the new moon in the sign that it is. And there's something complementary about that. And when I think about now, we're about to have this Sagittarian full moon on the Great Attractor. Again, gonna, I'm really plugging that video by Julia Balaz on Pam Gregory's channel because it was so fascinating. And if you have degrees here, because there's interesting orbs going on here, they're pretty wide in some cases because these attracting energies in the universe are in a concentrated area on the wheel. So it's about being of service. The area that video is talking about is after you've discovered all the personal houses. Now you're getting into those houses that are coming up on the upper hemisphere that actually serve the collective. So Sagittarius, how will this new venture or this new opportunity for passions to grow, how will it change your world? And what will you, well, we're not at that full moon yet, but we're not far away from it. Okay. Our first angel is Vanessa. Lots coming up about faith. And Jupiter is involved in that grand square cross. Jupiter's up at the North Node, and Vanessa's been showing up over and over again. Jupiter rules faith. We have Archangel Uriel in the in the opportunity or obstacle. We have Seraphina in the angel's advice, and then we have Archangel Michael. Sometimes I talk about the pool noodle. Somebody invented that pool noodle. It's so weird, the words that roll off my tongue. That thing probably costs like 0.0 cents to make, somewhere across the world. And I walked by a box of them in the market the other day. They're $10 each. And I'm thinking, that guy could have very well looked at that idea, the pool noodle, a piece of styrofoam that is, colored brightly. Would people buy it? Most people would say, oh, that's the dumbest idea ever. Who would ever buy for $10 a piece of styrofoam or, whatever for your pool? And this guy's made millions and millions and millions of dollars. I kind of think when I look at this for my Sagittarius is don't judge your ideas. Don't try to see if they'll be viable or not. You don't know what's attractive to other people. You could be the pool noodle guy. Vanessa is being joined by the hawk. Ariel's being joined by the love card. Seraphina's being joined by the raven. And Archangel Michael's being joined by the eagle. Wow. Okay, lots of birds here, lots of flying above a situation. So I want to offer this because sometimes, within this grand fixed square, we have an opposition. And last week I talked about an opposition being the opportunity to build a bridge, because I think for my Sagittarius, this does think about looking down the road, looking out at your world, allowing for some reinvention, rising above it as Jupiter can do, right? Jupiter's broad thoughts, you're ruled by Jupiter. So really looking for the signs and the omens. When I was talking about, Jupiter brings wealth, and I have this feeling I'm going to win the lottery. I don't know if it'll be $50, $100. I mean, I'm not counting $2 or $5, but I'm hoping it'll be a little chunk. And I felt like the signs and the omens were the guy who walked in at the exact same time I was there to try to claim his $500 ticket. These are signs and omens. So Sagittarius, have faith, keep your eye on the prize. Listen for the signs and the omens, because I think potentially you could be frustrated with time. I don't know if you're angry right now. I mean, I don't really feel anger as a strong energy, but I do feel frustration. Oftentimes people are like, when? That's the biggest resistant energy you could have, and it'll block your manifestation. The love card, which I find quite interesting. This poor card must come up a lot for people because it's one of the most worn out cards in my deck. You can barely see the words, but it's being offered to you because this happy change in your family doesn't feel like it's outside of yourself. It feels like it's inside of yourself, because the raven for me is a journey of understanding. Yes, it represents coincidence, synchronistic events and magic, but it's because I've worked through my stuff, and I've picked as much meat off those bones as I could possibly do. The bones of my issues, the bones of my, these bones could be very Capricorny, right? My history, and I'm ready to fly off, which brings a happy change to the committee inside my brain, because Archangel Michael is asking you to feel protected as you do make these divine changes. Open up, spread your wings to fly. The eagle represents transformation. It is one of Scorpio's totems. And this is an opportunity for you to feel a divine connection to all that is, and allow yourself, look at how these wings go for you, Sagittarius. First you fly and they're spread. Then you come into this space where you're in movement here. You're ready to fly. You're ready to like dive down and get your prey. That's what this feels like. And then you sit in comfort. Ah, so fabulous. It's really while it's a weirdo time to be alive, if you're afraid of the universe, it's a wonderful time to be here to watch this transformation, to watch people wake up. It's so exciting. All right, on to our Capricorns, my goats. I love me, my goats. Big goat person. Okay, here we go. Wow. Here's the Justice card. This is very interesting to me. Always has a very Libra energy to me. The scales of justice here. And while the sword is being held up, it's kind of meshing into that pillar. And I find it interesting because it almost feels like a mastery of thought, rather than having that sword standing out. Let's see, Capricorn, what's going on, because this could be divine justice for your transformation. Capricorn is the dutiful one. Capricorn is the obligated one. Capricorn is the one that makes me feel like I have to do that. I should do that. I can't sit down right now. I got to keep moving. I got to endure this. And I really think that is a human construct, a human viewpoint. I think that Capricorn ruled the golden age. Saturn ruled the golden age. He gave mankind tools to harvest, to cultivate, so this is the divine justice for my Cappies. All right. Our first angel is Oceana. The second is Akasha. My poor thumbs. There's Aurora and Crystal. Oceana is being joined by the Forgiveness card. Akasha is being joined by Merlin. Aurora is being joined by the Joy card. And the Raven is joining Crystal. Okay, for my Capricorns, I want to offer you this idea because your ruling planet is going through Pisces. And it would be an absolute travesty to say that Capricorn is not a creative being. Honestly, how can you not be a creative being when you rule? Saturn rules the golden age and gives mankind all these tools to create with. So this is what I want to say. I think it's just and fair, and it is time for our Capricorns to allow what it is that is important to them. What does your truth of your emotional body, what does it want? Because it's time to swim towards your dreams. This whale is always a soul's calling. This is Oceana encouraging you to trust your inner knowing. And here's this Forgiveness card, which is never about forgiveness, but a reconciliation. So all the Pluto transformation you've been experiencing in your first house is like an aha moment now. As I honor my feelings, things start to happen without my efforting, at least without my efforting without inspiration, because inspired efforting is beautiful. Uninspired efforting, fear-based efforting, dutiful efforting is a recipe for disaster, because you have learned a lot about how to create imbalance. And one of the things about Capricorn, what rules leadership and rules authority and government, has become a system. It's not actually a choice. It's become a machine. When we think about authority, we often think it is the authority outside of ourselves. I believe this is now about taking authority of yourself, because here's what you have learned so much since Pluto's been transiting you. And now, as Pluto in June is going to go into those late degrees of Capricorn, oftentimes other astrologers will say that the anaretic degree is a challenging degree because you're being tasked by your own soul to master what you have learned. And the 29th degree is the Leo degree. It reduces down to an 11, which is the master number of thought. So this is where we're going, people. There's no, I don't know how to say this. The Aquarian age, the revolution that we're feeling, the Pluto moving into Aquarius to liberate us is not to liberate us from anything but ourselves in some respects, our unconscious thought, our inadvertently following the rules that are out of balance. Because here is the joy card for my Capricorns, and Aurora saying you're flying high right now. And I truly believe that your transformation is one of the most powerful for the rest of us, because as we've seen you, start to identify your fears as alert systems from your soul that say you're moving the wrong direction, or your depression is where you're doing something that isn't authentic to you. Because Crystal is telling Capricorn to have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And now I want to focus on the divine timing of things, the timing that is just and fair. This almost feels as if this bit of following your emotional body and this reconciliation card is because you didn't try to force something, but you relaxed, and you relaxed into knowing to trust your intuitive body to alert you into the next action. And that is on its way. Okay. What's going on? I missed something. I can't read the chat while I'm talking. Okay. We're going on to our Aquariuses. Okay, here we go, Aquarius. Your tarot card is the Two of Pentacles. Now, this is a travel card. Oftentimes you'll hear Aquarius. Tarot card people talk about travel here. You can see the ships. You can see sort of I think it's all about flexibility. Now, we talk about the idea that Pluto is in the very first degree retrograding of Aquarius, and part of this fixed square, which is a very tight energy. It's not moving. And so now you're being asked to be flexible. And I want to offer it this way, because there's the potential that flexibility is allowing the normal humans that are in those ships to catch up with you. Okay. Almost your genius and your ability to see over the fray, over the heads of the herd, could inadvertently fall on deaf ears or not be acknowledged. And your willingness to be like, all right, sometimes, it takes people a little while to see what I'm talking about. Let's see where we're going with this. Because it is a tense time. It is a time when the conscious and the unconscious may meet, and the unconscious, inadvertently baits the conscious into old behaviors that they don't want to purport anymore, hence this square. Because everything feels like it's about, am I going to default to the old, the South Node, the Mars energy, angry, or am I going to, stretch for, the transformation that Pluto offers, the Jupiter and North Node conjunction in Taurus, allowing me to rise above my story, above my history, use my skills, and really create, again, Taurus being a cultivating energy. All right, Aquarius, our first angel is Desiree. The second is Crystal. The third is Astera. And the fourth is Adriana. Okay. Flexibility this week, for sure. And I want to offer this because I I haven't done it in a long time because I've gotten much more busy with creating videos, but you may even want to do a little playtime. If you're do some crafting, do some cooking, whatever you find enjoyable. Watch alien shows. I love my alien shows. I love ancient aliens. Okay, here we go. Desiree is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Crystal's being joined by the Joy card. Aster is being joined by the Burden card, and Adriana is being joined by the Forgiveness card. Okay, absolutely, Aquarius. This is not necessarily a week to take action unless it is inspired action, and I don't know if that action will come through this week because Desiree is saying conditions are not favorable to take your creative action. And sometimes when we can see where we want to go, we get very, very excited about getting there. And the human inadvertently, no matter how progressive and inventive you may be, can inadvertently default to efforting, to going, I need to make something happen. And I think this is really about flexibility, about, kind of this knowing when to put the gas on and when to pull the gas off, because Crystal is saying have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. And this Joy card feels very much as if there is something coming that's going to make you super happy. And if you push too hard on it, you won't get what you're looking for. The universe may be bringing you something bigger or more aligned to you, the truth of the long-term intention versus the short-term. Because Astera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And then there's the Burden card. And this may be not necessarily you feeling burdened, but if you try to take action too soon, you won't be able to, you'll have a harder time experiencing what's being offered here because you might thwart things inadvertently. You might inadvertently put a cog in the wheel. And then because Adriana is saying you're being led to the answers to your prayers, and there's the Forgiveness card. So what you may find is that if any delays you experience, we still have Mercury, I think, a little bit in the shadow period. I'm not quite sure. We have a sextile between Uranus and Venus, I believe, this week as well. So this could bring something unexpected. And Uranus being your ruling planet would be like you trying to push for something, and you really need the universe to open that space to lead you. So be flexible this week. Don't be too hard on yourself. And I would be mindful to not rub up against those that irritate you. I'm just saying. Oh, I love that, Jenny G. Thank you. Alchemy and fire. I love that. Fire is life. When your flame is snuffed out, the tribe has voted you out. All right, let's go on to our Pisces. Oh, Pisces, my loves. It might be a little rough for you right now having this Saturn coming into the early degrees of Pisces, and it's about to go retrograde. So Saturn's sort of slowing down around 6 degrees right now, making sort of an in conjunction to Venus. You may be feeling, Saturn in Pisces isn't easy. We're going to, who wants to lie about that or pretend it's not? But, once you kind of understand that Saturn is working to remove what is not sustainable, Saturn is asking you to truly build a house on a strong foundation, not on pretending that people aren't who they are. Saturn, in Pisces would say, are you with an alcoholic? Are you with a drug addict? Are you with somebody who's escaping all the time, who isn't standing up and really being there for you in some way? Because that's what this harsh kind of beginning degrees of Saturn, what it's doing. And I feel like, it's not about taking physical action. It's about identifying an emotional place for Pisces, and a place where your empathy or potentially your fear is thwarting you from your own happiness. And I feel almost as if when you're looking at everything has a double-edged sword. There's a right now you're feeling in the dark because no matter what choice you make, it doesn't feel like a good choice. So let's see, because sometimes for me, oftentimes, rather than sometimes, I base a lot of my perception on something from the past versus the potentials of the future. And I think what I've learned the most over the last like 9 years of working for myself is that truly I've implemented the laws of attraction. And while I have not, become a millionaire by any means, I've become very free with my, and independent. And now I just get to add on to that. I get to build upon that base because there's something that Pisces gets to acknowledge from their soul level. Okay. So Pisces, our first angel is Crystal, coming up a lot today. Adriana, again, coming up a lot. Chantal, it's about romance and relationships, and Caressa. Wow. All right, let's see. Because Saturn in Pisces is really gonna Saturn is working for you in Pisces. Saturn doesn't want you to be unhappy. Saturn doesn't want you to live on a house of sand that when one good wave comes in, bowls you over. And that's a little bit of the challenging side of the Pisces. It's compassionate beyond its own health. Pisces rules mental health. Okay, Crystal's being joined by the Risk card. Adriana's being joined by the Earth Fairy. Chantal's being joined by the Baird. And Caressa's being joined by the Letting Go card. Okay, so this is very much about Pisces. This technically I don't know that you're involved in the fixed square energy, but again, depending upon your chart, depending upon where personal planets are for you, we're just talking about Pisces rising right now, and I feel as if this crystal saying have faith and hope there's more on the horizon is to actually risk focusing in on what you can win versus what you can lose, for what you can gain versus what you can already see is eroding. I want to say that there must be something that you can already see that is eroding in your life that you're both happy about and sad about at the same time. And this is that chaos is the precursor to balance that I was talking about earlier in the video, because Adriana is leading you to something that's more solid and something that will actually make you feel like a healthier individual, both your mind, your body, your spirit, everything about who and what you are and what you want to experience, because the dreamy side of Pisces deserves to have a life. It deserves to have an experience. But if it is overly focused in on the dynamic that is eroding it, then there's going to be an issue because Chantal is the angel of romance. And if you're in a romance that is a historic one, meaning there's a story that's been going around and around and around. So, it's bad for a while, it's good for a while, it's bad for a while, it's good for a while. If this is in varying degrees, like it's too polarizing, something is going to shift, because Caress is talking about the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. And of course, the Letting Go card is always about moving away from fear and how it empowers you. So this is a process for you. And I think for some reason, this is really, rather than focusing in on the fixed square, I do think, although Venus is involved in that, Venus is making a square to Chiron as well. So as she moves into Cancer, or in those degrees of Cancer right now this week. So you may find that that's happening at home in some way. Maybe there's something coming up for you here. But I really want to say this because I don't think it's about taking action to sever relationships or to take action towards the relationship. It feels more like it's the relationship with yourself in relation to the relationship and how it's affecting you or eroding you. All right, let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. See how Mars is getting so patient these days, as Mars is at the latter parts of our video. Oh, and look at that. Steady money. I'm loving this. My Aries rising is loving this. My Taurus moon is loving this. And my Libra sun is loving steady money. Something solid in the material world. And I also want to say that I'm so excited to, since I got my farm fresh organic produce this week, I feel very, very bountiful. My Taurus moon loves organic foods. Yes, I love the force is strong with this one. I have 3 points on this shapely cluster, which I thought was super interesting. I like steady money. Yeah, I'm going to win that lottery, dude. I don't know why I think I'm going to win out. I just do. I don't know if I'm going to be on my lottery dream home because I don't think I'll buy a dream home, but I might buy a dream condo. All right, here we go. Fiona is here saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving, Aries. Then we have Crystal again. So much is happening that we can't see. Then Estera, reach for the stars. She's showing up again. And Francesca. You see me shuffle, right? One of the greatest gifts I think that this Pluto transit for me, squaring me, is really giving me this wherewithal that if I could go back and change my choices, would I? And I don't ever say I would. So when I feel a little bit victimized by my choices, I remember that because I know that there's something coming that I can't see, something that's sustainable. All right. We have the restriction card joining Fiona. We have Crystal being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. We have Estera being joined by the frog. And we have Francesca being joined by the protection card. All right, so Jupiter just left Aries. I feel like Jupiter was redefining Aries' belief in himself, expanding upon Aries overall, because I think, Jupiter is cooperative to Aries being a fire sign. Jupiter rules a fire sign. So now what you're looking for that's sustainable, that is strong and enduring, is in God and the angels' hands. And your job is to just hold space for your inspired action. I really think inspired action could be almost anything. If you are a creator and you're creating something and you're getting into that, I got to produce this, the audience expects this, I got to do this, I got to do that. If you're ever in a got to, I have to, a should, a need, you're not in the right vibration for truly manifesting at full volume. So this is about being okay with a pause. Go clean the toilet, go clean out the refrigerator. There will be an inspiration that will come for you, because Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. And here's the birth and rebirth card. I believe this is very much Pluto's energy. Pluto has been squaring Aries for a long time. And again, we know how I feel about a square. I won't repeat myself here, because Estera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, because you're about to leap onto a new lily pad. You've done a lot of work having Chiron in your first house, and Chiron is still in your first house. And now this is about this awareness that, when I think about Aries, I kind of think about Lewis and Clark, discovering the Louisiana territory way back in, I think it was 18s or 1700s, whatever it was, and how you become sort of an intuitive in the forest. You start to hear the sounds of the forest. You start to understand if it's too quiet, there's a predator. You get to know the sounds of the day forest and the night forest. I feel like that's what Aries has been going through. And now this is about practicing those skills. And right now you're in a place of being calm in the forest as you listen for the signs and the omens of what direction to go. Because Francesca is telling you, you don't need to take action right now, because that action might be based on a little bit of, I need to make something move. Mars wants to move. There is action in no action, because this gives you protection while you are awaiting your inspired action. I think that's going to be a very transformational dynamic for Mars, and it's also part of that opposition with Pluto right now. Mars may be like, look, let's just go. That's what Luke wanted to do. Let me go kill the bad guy. Let me go kill the bad guy. And Yoda, Pluto, was saying, if you go in there right now, the bad guy will win, because he will be able to identify your fears and use them against you. So as we don't conquer our fears, but we learn how fear is a motivator, or fear is an alert system, or fear is an opportunity for achievement, we can use it like the forest and the sound of the crows. All right, here we go. Taurus, balance, a lot going on in your sign. This is balance. This is a beautiful card, really, because if you look, this is Archangel Gabriel, I believe. This doesn't look easy because the way the feet are, one's in the water, one's on a rock, not even on solid land. There's the commingling of the emotions in the cups, and it almost makes me feel as if there's more energy in flight. I know we don't really see the angel coming up, but look how strong those wings are, and look, they're red. So I feel like their spirit will be lifting you up into balance. I'm looking to see where Lucky is. He wanted to go sleep on the bed during the broadcast, and he likes to sleep on these lazy, cold days. All right, Taurus, let's see. I'm very excited for Jupiter's transit in Taurus. There's lots of fun stuff going to happen here. And the North Node, fun stuff. Astera, again. Then we have Crystal, again. Now we have Athena and the Patience card. Okay. I got this feeling like Taurus is like, the question of the week is, what if? What if what you think you know isn't true? What if what you think you know is different? What if something new is happening? That's what I think is going on here. And that's what I think Jupiter is starting to infuse into your first house is faith. What if, bigger picture of things? What if what I know, because I'm so used to plowing the fields, rowing I see the oxen, as it drags the farming equipment. I don't know the terms. Astera and the Love card. How wonderful. Crystal and Merlin. Yay. Athena and the Wind Fairy. And finally, Patience and the Bee card. I'm so excited for my Tauruses. If you have a stellium in Taurus, I'm telling you, you should be buying lottery tickets. Something good's happening. Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and do not compromise. And there's the Love card. This is in every possible love dynamic you have, with your intimate love, with the love you have of self, with the love of your skills, your crafts, your home, everything you love. Allow that to flourish and grow and to reach for the highest vibration within that. It's that kind of thing where I feel like, a little bit like if you bet on yourself. When I first started working for myself, about 2 years into working for myself, I went to one of those Ashley furniture places and I bought furniture on like no interest for whatever years. And I remember my stepmother being very scared. Oh, Teri, I don't know if you should do that. I don't know, And I thought to myself, I can do it. I can do it. And of course I did. And it was wonderful because I needed new furniture and I started to believe in my ability to create money, which was the bigger picture here. Because there's Merlin offering our Tauruses money, alchemy, balance, and justice. And here's Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. Because now Athena is saying to lovingly assert yourself as you pay attention to how your mind works. Do you have faith? Are you allowing for balance? Are you allowing for the ebb and flow of balance? Because as you observe your own belief system, your own ever blossoming trust in your skills, in who you are, in your ability to plow those fields and create your own bounty, you will know good luck. You will know bounty. This is a great year for you. And even though the North Node and Jupiter are part of a fixed square, to me, I see them at the top of that square because that's just how I view it. And I feel like that's part of the reaching for the stars, keeping my thoughts aligned, keeping myself in a place that's saying, not everything I see is as it appears to be. For instance, the table that I'm sitting at right now, it is solid for all intents and purposes, but it is a dense group of molecules broken down to its core. So there's more to come. Uranus is in your first house, offering liberation and unexpected events. It's having a positive conversation with Venus this week. So I think that there's the potential of something the impetus, the awareness, and the beginning signs that something really amazing is happening. And this is an opportunity to keep yourself in that feeling of good luck. All right, everybody, that's it. I am Teri Hunter. I'm available for Astrology readings, I don't post my prices on the internet because I like to have a conversation. I like to interact with people. That's my Libra and my Taurus energy. And I'm available for both angel readings and astrology readings. And just as a reminder, I'm going to take next week off. I have a high school friend coming to visit me. We're going to play and eat food and do all sorts of fun things. So I'm going to take Memorial Day off. So enjoy, everybody. I will record next week's video, so you'll get your readings, but we won't be doing a live show. In the meantime, I'm sending love to you all, and I want to put another shout out to Bethany. If we could all just send her and her family prayers. Her mother crossed over this week unexpectedly, and she could use our support. So thanks, everybody. Peace out. See you in 2 weeks.